All right. So, we talked about at the end of class last time, the due dates, and I sent y'all an email, and I also posted it out here, so let me stick it in my notes. These are the due dates we talked about. And, oh, I've already put it out here. No, I didn't. Undo. Put it down here, and the rest of the announcement was right here. Okay, so this is the announcement that I emailed to y'all. And it says that Unit 2 homework, which is chapters 3 and 4, are due Wednesday, March 15th. So that is the Wednesday that we get back. So today is the 1st. Find my pen. Today's March 1st, so your homework is due the Wednesday that we get back. So technically, it could have been done tonight, or Sunday night, or the following Sunday night, but I decided to give you until the Wednesday we got back. So that was the first part of the announcement. The second part said that the Unit 2 test, which is Chapter 3 and 4 test, is open today until the Thursday that we get back. So you actually have 2 weeks to take the test. So any day in yellow, you can take the test. So you can do it Thursday or Friday this week, any day next week, or Sunday through Thursday the following week, because they usually give you a week from Thursday to Thursday. So spring break is going to be like your free week to take the test, okay? I will start Chapter 7 the Tuesday that we get back from break. So your homework is due the 14th, the test is due the 15th. But remember, y'all, the longer you wait, the more you're going to forget, honestly. I have a lot of y'all say, that's just more time for me to study. Yeah, right.
You're not going to study.
You're not going to study, okay? Some of y'all will, but most of y'all, that's the longer you're going to forget, honestly.
Do you know if they've got an issue with the tests in there now?
I
Or
don't
the
think
homework in
so.
there?
I don't think
Because
so.
I tried to get into 3-4 last night and it just wouldn't open. But my computer's been acting up as well.
Okay. I don't think so, but if you have an issue, text me.
So. Okay.
The tutors know my cell phone number. Y'all know how to text me. I'm not going anywhere over spring break. My husband is still working, my daughter's still in school, so I will be home.
Binge watching.
Yeah, I don't watch TV. I'll be working and cleaning. That's like my favorite things. So yeah, I love to clean. So I'll be working and cleaning. So if you need anything over the break, text me. If you get stuck on a homework problem, email me, text me. Or if you have a question or you get stuck or whatever, I have opened the 7 and 6 homework. So if you finish 3 and 4 and you want to go ahead and look to 7 and 6, you can. I do have the 3 and 4 homework review open. You'll study exactly the way you studied last time. If you didn't make as well as you wanted to last time, then I would study differently. Okay? I did put out here the times that the spring break is open. The tutoring is open over spring break. They're not open normal hours. They're open a little bit less. They're open normal hours on Sunday, but Monday through Friday, we open a little bit less to give our tutors a break. Okay? So that is all out there in the announcements on my Math Lab as well as in the email that I sent you. We good? All right, so if you go out here to do homework, you will see that 3 and 4 homework have March 14th. Y'all, that's Pi Day. 3.14. So your homework's due on Pi. Midnight of Pi. So 3/14 is when your homework's due. I did not put a due date for the test review. That way y'all can do it up to whenever. The 7 and 6 homework is out there if you want to play with it. If not, that's fine. I do not have a due date for that because we won't make it due until we're done. And I even have the review out there for that. And if you go to take a test, the real test is up here. And then the fake tests are down here. Remember, the practice tests are the ones that are written by the textbook author. The real test is the one that's written by me. The real test is the one that has to have the password. The tests that are down here are the ones that may or may not be representative. They do not match the review sheet. If you want to know what's on the test, you go to the do homework and you look at the test review. That's what's going to tell you how you're going to do on the real test. Okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to finish up chapter 4. And then after we finish up chapter 4, I have a little bit of review at the end. Today really is not going to be hard because you know how to do everything I'm going to teach you in the rest of chapter 4. You just don't know that you know it. At the end of class last time, I started telling you about the football game and put the numbers in order, and you have the minimum and the maximum. You come in from the middle, you have the median, also known as halftime, also known as the end of quarter 2. Then you take the beginning of the game, come in, that's the end of quarter 1, or called Q1. Then you come to the end of the game. That's called the end of quarter 3. And the maximum is also known as the end of fourth quarter, or Q4. So you have the end of first quarter, the end of second quarter, the end of third quarter, and the end of fourth quarter, okay? And we said that my math lab is going to show you how to do this by hand, but Ms. Cooper is going to show you how to do it in the calculator. And at the end of class, and some of you were already brain dead by then, but we just went to Stat Edit. We typed in all of our data. It doesn't matter if they're in order or not. There were 11 pieces of data, so we did Stat Edit, typed them in. Then we went to Stat Count, one of our stats, just like if we were doing mean or median. And then we scrolled down to the second page of data. Here's my first page of data, and then we went down to the second page of data, and it gave me everything that I just talked about. The minimum, Q1, the medium, Q3, and the maximum. Those last 5 pieces of data on the second page, those are also referred to as the 5-number summary. Okay? So the minimum, Q1, the median, Q3, and the maximum, those are called the 5-number summary. We also have talked about the median. We also have talked about that X bar, which is called the mean. One more thing that we're going to talk about today is called the SX. Okay? It's called standard deviation. There's a couple of things like this one, and this one we're not going to talk about. This one just tells you how many pieces of data you have. You have 11 pieces of data, so that tells you how many pieces of data. So these 3 we're not going to talk about. We're going to talk about the mean, the median, the 5-number summary, and your SX. Not your sex, but your SX. That is your standard deviation. Okay? My math lab tells you how to do all of this by hand. We're going to use our fancy calculator. So that, in general, gives you kind of a gist of what we're doing. But you do it all the same way. So if the problem says find the mean, or if the problem says find the standard deviation, or if the problem says find the median, or if the problem says find the quartiles, type them in using Stat Edit, and then do Stat Count, and look at it. All right, this is kind of giving you word-wise what I talked about. The lower quartile is the quartile at the bottom, which is the Q1. The middle quartile is the quartile in the middle of the game, and then the upper quartile is the quartile on the upper end. Okay, so this is just word-wise what I just talked about. Oops. Okay, this shows you again, this is talking about that Walmart and the CVS that we talked about. Are you waiting in multiple lines or are you waiting in one line? It takes the same data and it broke it up as into the minimum and the maximum, the median, quartile 1 and quartile 3, and it did it for both pieces of data. And that's your 5-number summary. So what they did then, and let me just show, I'm going to put it in the calculator just to show you. If I do the first one, I'm going to do Stat, Edit, go to the top, hit Clear, Enter. And then I'm going to type in those pieces of data. I'm just going to do the first one, which was the Walmart one. 5.6, 6.2, 6.7, 7.2, 7.7, 7.7, 8.5, 9.3, and I typed in just the first set of data. There's 11 pieces of data because I ended up on number 12, and then I do stat calc, one var stats. There's my first set of data, my first set of answers, and then I go to second page. So they're telling me that my minimum is 4.1, Q1 is 5.6, my median or Q2 is 7.2, my Q3 is 8.5, and my maximum is 11. We good?
Doesn't that mean it's like L
It does. She said, does it matter, is your L1 gone?
Yeah.
Okay, this happens all the time, and this may happen during the test. Here's what happens. And you're using my calculator, so somebody else used it and they screwed it up and then they didn't know what to do. The reason it matters is because when you do stat calc, right here is saying look at list 1. So when you go and do it and you put the data in list 2, it's going to come back and say there ain't jack in list 1. So what has happened to her calculator is list 1 has gone away. And here's how this happens, and let me show you how to fix it, because if you go to the testing room, you can't use your own calculator. So somebody could have used the calculator and screwed it up, so you need to know how to fix it. What has happened to that calculator is somebody went to the top, instead of hitting clear, they hit delete. And you see how it deleted the column instead of cleared the column. You with me? So now, even if I put the data into L2, it's still using L1 even though I can't see it.
That's a dumb calculator.
I know, what the heck? Now, if you did use L2, like if you decided, oh, I'm going to use L2, then what, like if I put some numbers in L2, like 2, 3, 4, 5, if I used L2, then I would have to go stat calc, one var stats, but I would have to change that to L2. And right down here, above the 2, it says L1, L2, L3. So it's written in blue, so I would have to go blue and change it to L2 to tell the calculator that I want it to calculate list 2. You with me? But if I don't, so I can use list 2, but I've got to tell it that I want it to look at list 2. But if I want to fix it, so I'm going to go back and tell it list 1. If I want to fix it, here's what I have to do. I go to stat. Number 5 means set me back up the way I originally was. Fix it the way that it was. So if I go stat number 5, that means change me back to the defaults. So stat 5, so now when I do stat edit, it brought everything back. So if you do stat 5, it's like Chanel number 5. It brings you back to the way you were. So stat 5 brings things back to the way they were. It kind of unscrews up something that people could have done, stat 5. So now, if you go to the top and hit clear and come down, then you're fine. And that happens quite a bit. You go to the top and you're like, do I hit delete or do I hit clear? If you hit delete, you're deleting the column. Cool? All right, so that kind of just shows you how I got that. Well, now, what they're going to do is they're going to take those 5 number summaries, the 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 2, 8, 5, and 11. 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 2, 8, 5, and 11. So they took the 5 number summary from the big bank, and they took the 5 number summary from CVS. 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 2, 7, 7, 7, 8. 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 2, 7, 7, 7, 8. They just listed them. Okay. Then they took those numbers and they drew what's called a box and whisker plot, or a box plot. It's just another way to display data. Don't get your panties in a wad yet. It's super easy. Okay. A box and whisker plot is where you have a box with some whiskers. It looks like a cat. mouth with some whiskers. The 3 points in the middle make your box, and the 2 points on the outside make your whiskers. So for example, if I had a number line that was 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8, I would plot the 6.6, then I would plot these three, 6, 7, 7, 2, and 7, 7. Then I would plot the 7, 8. The 3 in the middle make your box, and then the 2 on the outside draw to your whiskers. That's all it is to it. You with me? So the 3 in the middle, you dot them, and you make your box, and the 1 in the middle, you draw a line. And then the 2 on the outside, you make your whiskers. So what we did is we took this data, and I came down here, just so that you can see it. I put them on the same number line. So I went from 0 to 10, and I plotted these points. So I did 4.1, 5.6, 7.2, 8.5, and 11. The 3 in the middle, I made a box with a line. And then the 2 on the outside, I drew my whiskers. Then for these numbers, I did 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 2, 7, 7, 7, 8. The 3 on the middle, I drew my box and my line, and then I drew my whiskers. Now, this is just, remember when we did this thing? The bottom one, you see, is more spread out. This is like your hump. And this is like going to the outliers. So can you see that this one has a wider variation? It has a hump and goes out. This one, see how it has a baby hump and doesn't go out very much? It's just another way to draw it. So you can see that this has a wide variation. This one has a low variation. Just another way to draw it. So these 3 are like my mean, median, and mode, sort of. It shows me where my hump is. So if I'm going to CVS, remember we talked about if you're going to TJ Maxx or Burlington, you're expecting to wait about the same amount of time. That means you're going to have a low variation. If you're going to Walmart, you may go through a quick line or you may go through a slow line. You're going to have a wide variation. Okay? So it's not hard. It's just a different way to show it. That's called a box and whisker plot. All right. Standard deviation. This is all the stuff, 450,000 steps that my math lab wants you to know how to do. And this is the crappy formula that math lab wants you to do. Miss Cooper is going to say, stat edit, type it in, stat calc, 1 bar stats, look for the SX. You don't have to do any of this. They want you to make this big long chart, fill in the chart. Look, they want you to do all of this. Fill in this long chart, then add them up, then take the square root. I'm not even going over this page. We're not even doing that, okay? We're not doing it by hand. We're going to go ahead and do the calculator, okay? So these first set of problems says find the range and find the standard deviation. Now, range, we talked about last time. Range is when we do the high minus the low. And that's on our formula sheet as well. The biggest value minus the smallest value. And let me pull up, let me go to handout study sheets. Now remember, you will be given a formula sheet and you also will be given that deck of cards. You don't need the deck of cards. So for this test, y'all, we've talked about those. We've talked about absolute error, relative error, absolute change, absolute difference, relative difference. We talked about that. We've talked about mean, When you add them up, divide by how many numbers you have, that's the X bar. We've talked about weighted average. That's the sum of the percent times the grade divided by, we talked about that, we really didn't use that value. That formula. Now we're talking about the, ooh, hold on, it went crazy. Now we're talking about the range. High minus low, largest minus smallest. That's what we're doing right now. Okay? So, for this problem, all they want us to do is they want us to find the range and they want us to find the standard deviation. So if I go to my calculator, I go to Stat Edit. So Stat Edit. Up underneath List 1, I'm going to type in my numbers. There are 8 pieces of data. So I should end up on line number 9. Then I'm going to go to Stat Calc, 1 var stats. My standard deviation is going to be my SX. So my standard deviation is going to be 9.47 or whatever they tell me to round it to. My range is going to be my high minus low. Well, it's not going to be hard to pick out my high minus low, but since I already have it in here, if I go to the second page, it tells me what my high is. It says, hey, this is your max number, and it tells me what my low is. So my range is going to be the high number, which is 75, minus the low number, which is 49. So what I've done by the magic of TV is I just did everything. Hold on. This is one problem, and I just showed you everything that I could possibly tell you. I did Stat Edit, I did Stat Calc, okay? So here's my Stat Edit, here's my Stat Calc. I can tell you the mean is 58.25. I can tell you the median is 55.5. I can tell you the SX, which is your standard deviation, is 9.5, 9.47, whatever you want to round it to. I can tell you my first quartile, I can tell you my third quartile, I can tell you my range. Now, heaven forbid we have to do the range by hand. High minus low, or max minus min. Your maximum value is 75, your minimum value is 49. So 75 minus 49 gives you a range of 26. Our max and our min we got from here. The mode is the other thing that we have to do by hand. What number appeared the most? 49. Now y'all, out of all of those, the mode and the range are the two easiest. Those are the only two that we have to do by hand. So now on the test, no matter which one of those it asks, we are going to do the same thing and get them from the same screen. So if I come over here for just a second and I click on the 3 and 4 review sheet, and I scroll in for just a minute, calculate the mean. Stat Edit, 1 var stats. Calculate the median. Calculate the mode. Calculate the range. Calculate the standard deviation. Calculate the 5-number summary. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions on the test are Stat Edit, type it in, Stat Calc, 1 var stats, and look.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Alright, so I want you for this next problem here's your data. I want you to give me the mean, the median, the mode, the standard deviation, Q1, Q3, the max, the min, the range. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 answers. Merry Christmas. Anytime. All right, Tori is here. TJ is not here. Risha is here. Amy is here. Jacob is here. Bree is here. Sue is here. Jason is not. Ariel is here. Ashley is here. Tracy is not. Amber is here. Jada is not. Tanya is here. Heather is not. Jessica is not. Luciana is here. Jared is not. Jamie is here. Carlita is here. Shatika is not. Calvin is here. And if you're doing these problems and don't have a calculator, if you go to the tutoring room and give them your ID or give them your keys, they'll let you borrow one of these calculators to do your homework while you're in there. So if you don't have a calculator and you need to do these types of problems, go to the tutoring room, let them hold your keys, let them hold your ID, let them hold something, and they'll let you borrow a calculator so that you can get your homework done.
I didn't bring my calculator for the last one, I thought we couldn't bring it.
You can't bring your calculator to do the test, they'll give you a calculator. Yeah, they don't, want you to have anything in a calculator or hidden or cheating, so they provide a calculator for you to do the test.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And so, but I have some people who haven't bought calculators yet or whatever, so to do the homework without a calculator is tough. So if you're doing the homework and don't have a calculator, you can go to the tutoring room, and they have a drawer full of calculators. They'll let you borrow a calculator while you're in the tutoring room if you don't have one. But to make sure you don't steal them, they make you borrow. They have to make you hold on to something. They hold on to something. Yeah. And if you have an iPhone, it costs like $5 or $10. But if you have an Android, it's free. Not everybody's good like me. I know. So on your test, you're gonna have one question that says, I just want the standard deviation. You're gonna have one question that says, I just want the median. One question that I just want the range. I'm just giving you one question that asks for everything so that you can practice it all. I'm just gonna start putting it in. Step edit to the top. enter. There are 10 pieces of data, so you should have